What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the garage. Today we're talking about the Subaru and I guess some other stuff, but I finally got it running right, I think. It's just still on the sort of ECU idle learning process. Kind of sucks that I can't drive it right now. I'll show you why in a minute. But I think I've sorted out all the issues with it, so I'll just go over with some of the stuff that I found. And yeah, you might be having the same problem, so maybe this helps you out. So yeah. All right, so if you've been watching the latest videos, you'll know that I've been having tons and tons of issues with boost leaks, and it's been driving me absolutely insane. I was having tons of problems with the blow-off valve sealing. What I did was get a factory blow-off valve gasket from Subaru. So it has a different shape than the TurboSmart one, but the material is a lot better. It's like actual gasket material rather than just construction paper. So this seal is perfect now. I had lots of problems with, there's an O-ring kind of here, I guess, where this Subaru flange bolts onto this TurboSmart housing there. That was leaking. Then down here, where this thing screws into this body here, there's 3 O-rings in there. That was all leaking. So I was going absolutely nuts trying to figure that out. But yeah, it seems to be fine now. I just took it all out, cleaned, lubed up the O-rings with some silicone and put it back together, tightened up real tight, and seems to be sealing. So yeah, super happy about that. And then with the actual boost leak test process here, I rejigged my tester. So before I just had the tire valve on here, but then I went to Home Depot and picked up this pressure gauge. So this actually helped out quite a bit because I think this tire pressure gauge thing here isn't the best and it's not that accurate. So I couldn't really see that it was building up pressure inside the system, where this thing, I could slowly see it climbing. I got up to, well, this thing was running at like 21 pounds of boost. So I brought it up to about 16 just to be safe, and it held it. And I used the method of watching the pressure sort of dissipate and seeing how long that took. So it was about 1 pound or 1 psi per second, which means the system is all good. But in doing that and raising the pressure up, I found that the recirc hose here was leaking at the connection on the turbo inlet. So tighten that up. I loosened it up. You can kind of see down there, that silver thing, that's the clamp. I loosened that up and got a sort of screwdriver in here and sort of pried it and pushed it right onto the turbo inlet there real tight, and then tighten up the clamp quite a bit more than I had originally. And that seems to have fixed the boost leaks. I was worried that I potentially screwed up putting the intake manifold gaskets on or something like that, but those are all tight, so no issues there. So once I figured all that stuff out, I decided that I was going to start the car, and it hadn't been started in a while, so this battery had been sitting for a little bit in the cold, and didn't want to start. Finally it cranked over, and it was running better. It was running like the boost leaks had been fixed, but it seemed like it wasn't really getting enough power, like electrical power, if that makes sense. So I let it idle, let it warm up, gave it a little bit of throttle, and the car just died like completely. And I was thinking like, oh shit, what happened? Turn the key, nothing. And yeah, I freaked out. I freaked out a little bit. But I thought, okay, this battery, I'd run into this issue before with that Optima battery down there. It just ran out of juice and it was dead. So I figured that was the problem. So I took this battery to Canadian Tire, got them to test it because it's under warranty and all that stuff, and came back fine, no issues. So I was left scratching my head just a little bit more. So then I went and looked into blown fuses. And I looked around in here, and I looked around on the cover here, kind of trying to see sort of what would cause that to, or what would cause the whole car to like shut off. So when I turned the key on, the access port would get power, but nothing else. And then it turned out that this guy right here, I guess this is like this one doesn't actually pop. This is like your main fuse. It just sort of slowly melts. So I'll show you here. So this is the factory fuse here, and you can see in there that it's split. So I took this to Subaru and asked them if they had any, but of course they didn't with all the shortages and whatnot. And I wasn't aware that this was a common style fuse. So I looked online and it all said like Subaru fuse, but yeah, this is just a 120 amp, I guess, slow melt fuse. But yeah, if you've never seen one of these before, this can throw you for a loop, because I'd really never looked at fuses like this. I've always just seen these sort of blade style. But yeah, that was the issue, and went to the local parts store and they had a whole bunch of them. So I think these were about $7. But yeah, so I tossed that in, and while I was doing that, I was sort of thinking like, what could have caused that fuse to sort of start the melting process? Because this car has never had any electrical issues. I haven't really touched anything electrical. You know, it never had problems when I put the bags in. So that would be the most electrical stuff that I've done. But I figured that since, you know, the car, this battery might have been a little bit low from sitting, and when I turn the key on, it automatically kicks on the air compressors for the bags, which I should probably change that. But I think when that happened, it sort of drew too much current or whatever. You know, I'm not an electrician or whatever, so forgive me if I have the wrong terms, but I think that triggered this to start going. So this is the fuse here. So I'll just pull this out so the bags don't kick on. But yeah, so I think that was the main problem. So yeah, let's fire this thing up and I'll let you guys hear what it sounds like. So I fired it up yesterday, so fingers crossed that nothing has gone wrong since last night. Idling away here. Air fuel ratio looks pretty good. It's hovering around 14.7. Nothing real weird is going on here. Numbers on the access port are a little bit off, but I did do the ECU relearn and haven't driven it, so yeah, they're a little bit funky, but the dam is still one. There's no knock whatsoever. Vacuum is all on point, so I don't think there's any vacuum leaks, and the car just sounds a lot happier. So yeah, I think we're on the money here. Car just sounds so good right now. Like, I feel like it sounded better than when I first got it back from the tune. I think that was in part to this fucking turbo inlet from Torque Solutions that wasn't sitting properly. Yeah, it's just there's no vibrations or anything. So yeah, this thing seems to be running really good. And I wish I could take it outside and drive around and do some logs, but A, the insurance that I had on it has run out, and B, we've been hit with like a massive snowstorm that we usually don't get. Today was an actual warmer day, at like hovering around like -3 Celsius. So a little bit has melted, but yeah, we're totally blanketed in snow here. So even if this thing did have insurance, I wouldn't drive it anyways, because it's got basically like summer slicks on it, which would not be a good time. And the fact that they cover our roads in tons and tons of salt, and yeah, I definitely don't want to fuck up all the work that I've done underneath this thing driving it around in the salt. So yeah, it's kind of parked in here for the winter. But I think coming up, you know, once the snow melts and if we get a little bit of dry cold or whatever, I might pull this thing out and then see if the Xterra will squeeze into the garage, and start doing some work on that thing. I might have to take the roof rack off, but I kind of pulled it in close to about like here, and it seemed like it was potentially gonna fit. So yeah, I'm not too sure. I'll have to try that. I'll have to try that at another time. And yeah, it kind of sucks that I can't send out logs to the tuner. But yeah, it is what it is at this point. It's just a waiting game till nicer weather arrives. But yeah, anyways, yeah, just a quick little update on the Subaru and the weather outside, which is not ideal for driving your car around in. But yeah, the car seems to be running really good. I can't confirm yet with the tuner because I can't send any logs, but it definitely sounds a lot better. So yeah, I think I'm on the right track here. So anyways, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.